but I'm learning so much about what works and what doesn't work, and I've improved my scores to such a degree that that's going to carry with me forever. You also get a registered dietitian that kind of helps give you some insights, recommendations. What's up? Welcome back to Startup U TV, where we give you tools, tips, and marketing strategies, all to grow or start your business. Don't forget to also subscribe to the Startup U podcast, where I interview hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs, many of which you've probably heard of yourself, like Damon John, Barbara Corcoran, Grant Cardone, Guy Kawasaki. Some of the most notable entrepreneurs on the planet have been on the show. You definitely do not want to miss out on those conversations. Okay, so you may have noticed lately in the last few videos, I've been talking about health and wellness stuff and biohacks. And the reason being is that as a business owner, you can't afford to not have big energy, and you can't afford to have stuff that's kind of holding you back. Like if you have big goals, you got to have big energy to match those big goals, the ambitions for those big goals. And so I'm always looking for things to give me a level up, give me an advantage, give me an edge. And also I just want to feel good and enjoy my life, right? As like a person. And I feel like that in and of itself brings you into your work with a different mindset. When you've had fulfillment in your life and you're, doing things you like to do and feeling your best, and you don't have limitations and restrictions and pain, you're just going to show up in your business better off than you would otherwise. So I started doing Nutrisense. This has been recommended to me for a long time. And I want to kind of walk you through what my experience has been, because it's kind of been a game changer. This device is called a continuous glucose monitor. Okay. You could also hear it called CGM. What it does is effectively it has a needle that sticks into your arm, and it's reading your blood sugar constantly after you eat, after you work out, throughout the day. Now, most people are probably familiar, diabetics will have to jab themselves in the finger and measure at random times throughout the day. The cool thing about this is you just have to jab yourself once, but you have a running trend that you can notate, not just 4 or 5 times a day, but throughout the day, you can monitor that data, and you can do it with just a simple app on your phone. So it's not a cheap program. I think I'm paying like $325, $350 for a full month for 28-day cycle. But I'm learning so much about what works and what doesn't work, and I've improved my scores to such a degree that that's going to carry with me forever. And you also get, and this was unbeknownst to me with the time I signed up, you also get a registered dietitian that kind of helps give you some insights, recommendations. Hey, did you also know that you could eat foods in this order and it reduces your blood sugar response that you have by like 73% by just switching the order of which you eat foods? So super valuable insight. If you didn't know you were getting that coaching aspect, it might feel expensive, but I promise you with that coaching from a registered dietitian, it's 100% worth it. So I'm going to show you the process. I'm going to show you the product, and then I'll show you a little bit about the app, because that's super important too. You put that in here, and then it sticks out, and you have the sensor in here with the needle sticking out. It does not hurt. I promise you. I'm going to do it. You're going to see me do it, so you don't, if I scream, I'm lying, but I promise you it doesn't hurt. So you're going to put that on. Then you're going to put this pad. It's like it has an adhesive. It just protects it, because you don't want that sensor exposed. Like if you get a shower, or you're at the gym, you head up against it. This really locks it in place. I was very concerned, or apprehensive is probably the better word, that this was actually going to work. But I had no problems. I even went wakeboarding. I wore my I wore like a compression shirt just to make sure, but I didn't have any issues with it. Salt water is no go. You don't want to get in salt water. It can mess up the sensor. But swimming at a certain depth for a certain period of time is totally clear. I worked out with it. I slept on that arm. I'm a side sleeper, so I had it on that arm. I had no issues whatsoever with it. At the end of the 14-day period, which is how long the sensor lasts before you have to replace it, it was starting to peel, and it kind of hurt a little bit. This pad was starting to peel off a little bit, and it did hurt, but that's the only level of pain that I felt. Getting the thing off was an entirely different story. It was like a super Band-Aid, and it definitely hurt, pulling hairs and stuff like that. And it left a mark. I don't know if you can see my arm here, but it definitely left a mark. And I'll do more of a close-up so you can see that as well. But it definitely left a mark. So let's put it on, and then we're going to go through the scanning process, and I'll show you the app. Okay, so you'll see here, the sensor's already in here. Then you line this up, stick it in there. So here it pops. And then what you do is you just go to the fatty part of the back of your arm, like this. Just make sure it's lined up. And you just push. And as you can see, that one actually did sting a little bit compared to the other one. I don't know why, but that one actually did sting a little bit. So there you see, it's on there, right? Then what you do is, and this is really important, You take off the outer rim of the adhesive of the little sticker here, but you leave the center piece like this. So there's a center piece here. You leave that there. And I think it's so it doesn't like pull on the sensor itself. That doesn't need to be sticking to the sensor. It's just the surrounding aspects of the sensor, right? So then what you do is you just line it up with that as such. And then you just pat it on here. So that's that. Something I didn't do, I just forgot. You are supposed to clean with the alcohol. I did just get a shower not long ago, so I should be okay. But the only thing I didn't do that if somebody was like a pro at this is you are supposed to wipe this with alcohol first. So that's the only thing I didn't do. But there it is. It's on there, right? Then what we're going to do is we'll go to the app and I'll show you what it looks like. And you won't be able to see the onboarding process of that. It's very simplistic. And they give you some detailed specifics here. It's like a quick start guide, which is cool. Tells you what to do. Wait 30 minutes after your first scan. Once you log in, apply the sensor, activate the sensor. So to activate it, click Settings, Sensor, Activate New Sensor. So I'm ready to do that. Activation successful. It's literally that simple, guys. You literally just put it on there and good to go. And then you're going to wait 30 minutes before it shows up. Now, so you can see I did a great job throughout the day. All these little dots here, like the blue dot, the red dot, the orange dot, are different things that I added. So when you add things, you can add a meal or activity or notes or measurements or whatever, and you can message, which means you're going to message your dietitian there. And then also the scan button. But what you'll see here, though, is you'll see this meal, right? So this was my protein shake. I had coconut milk, peanut butter, strawberries, and whey protein powder. And I was 10 out of 10 on that, meaning, and it has different categories here. So peak, exposure, stability, recovery. It tells you what all those mean. So peak is how high your glucose spiked after the meal. Exposure is the area under the glucose curve for 2 hours following the meal. Stability measures how much of a glucose jump you had. And recovery is how close your 2-hour glucose value is to your pre-meal glucose value. So that's one, I know that one's important. So it'll give you all those details. So you're learning as you go about all this stuff, right? So you can see your exercise, where you peaked, so on and so forth. You can see here, and this was one that was important because this messed up my whole day. I didn't feel bad per se, but you can see the huge spike here was for the dinner that I had. So I had beef, I had onions, I had like sauteed onions, I had sweet potato, and then I threw in some cornbread, which did not have sugar, by the way. And look how poorly I did with it. So clearly I'm not doing well with those, which could be for a variety of different reasons, but that's something you can notate, so you'll avoid those things. So as you go back, you'll see I was learning as I went. And you can see that like I was managing it better. Here's for the day, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. But look, when I go back to the earlier days when I first started, I was like, there were a couple days I had like a 2. I had this day, I had no idea what I was doing. Oh, this is the day I had pizza. Look at the pizza. I jumped to 234 was my peak. Guys, that's massive. Like that's way over where you should be. Like I think over 170 is considered hyperglycemic. So that was a huge jump for me. So those are meals that I have to avoid until I can get under control. Now, the big breakthrough for me, and this was something that we notated here, and I'll see if I can find that specific time frame, but the dietitian told me, I think it was here. Yeah, this was it. So I did spin class here, right? And I was at 118, which is still high. You can see as I went on, I'm now in like low 100s or under 100. But here, during that exercise, I peaked to 154, and I thought that was a bad thing. It actually is a good thing because you're releasing glycogen. Again, I'm not a dietitian or a doctor here. But basically, she was saying that that was good because that exercise showed, that hardcore like HIIT exercise showed that it actually helped you become more insulin sensitive because look how well you did your meals after, both 10s, on 9s and 10s on those meals right thereafter. Since that time forward, I've been doing exercise in the morning for just 10 to 15 minutes, and it has made a world of difference. My scores are now predictable. I'm tolerating carbs way better, and I was having trouble with carbs. So that helped a lot. So I'm doing more walking, getting more exercise in the morning prior to I'm eating. I'm doing fasting at the right times. I'm walking after every single meal for like 10 minutes. It's not crazy. You just have to do some stuff. I do push-ups. I bought a pull-up bar. I'm doing that too. I have a trampoline. I'm doing that. I have the stationary bike. I'm doing that. Little things throughout the day because as a business owner, if you're spending most of the time behind your desk, that's not natural. That's not normal. We're accustomed to being up and moving around and being in the field and carrying things around and doing the things that we need to do. So it's highly unnatural for us to be so sedentary like we are now. And like I said, there's evidence and studies that are suggesting that it actually is really affecting us at a physiological level. So that's that. I mean, again, you have so many different options when you add meals. I'll show you that real quick. but you look for ingredients and you can type in and search things and you put the quantity and stuff like that. It actually will save. So you can see things that I've had recently are already popped up. So if you have those things more than once, you just scroll and grab whatever one you had, right? So like if I had creatine and added creatine again, 1 scoop, I don't have to search for it again. It's already right there. And it looks like it's crowdsourced. So it's other people that have been filling stuff out. That's how they're sourcing that information. And sometimes you have to change it. So like one day if you have 1 scoop of protein powder versus 2, you had 6, which you'd be nuts if you did that. 120 grams of protein in one sitting, but you can adjust it and you can change it to grams or whatever. And again, people have added manually things that are beneficial, and you could always add stuff manually if you need to. And they actually have something you can search. I haven't used this feature, but you can actually search like the package. Like you can scan the barcode and it'll pull that up, which is pretty cool also. So pretty awesome stuff. Again, it's been wildly helpful for me. I've learned so much about it overall, and just kind of knowing what's going on. But also something I've been doing is I take notes, and it'll document when I took that note throughout the day. So the dietitian can come in and she can say like, had this meal, didn't feel good after. And that prompts her to go look at the meal itself and say, this is why, and this is what you should do about it, right? So I genuinely think that a 28-day cycle of this, I think you'd be in great shape. You learn so much about what you need to do, what's working for you, what's not working for you. Are you in healthy ranges? Are you not in healthy ranges? I just think there's nothing to lose and so much to gain from doing this. And for a nominal couple, $200-$300 with the benefit again of the dietitian, I think you're in great shape. So I'm a huge fan. I'm not going to continue this beyond the 28 days. I may do it like periodically, like once a year or something. And I don't think that's what you really need to do. Like, I think just doing this, once a year is perfect. There's nothing wrong with just checking in and seeing, like, deploy and strategize things, work with the dietitian, implement that for 6 months, and then see how things are going. Like, is it actually helping me? Because I've already noticed from 2 weeks of doing this, my scores have gone through the roof. My blood sugar's coming down, and I feel better. I'm tolerating foods better. I'm starting to eat more carbs that I couldn't eat before, all because I'm learning strategies about how to manage those things throughout the day better. All the things that I mentioned before and all the things that a dietitian will help you with. So again, not to keep rambling, but I wanted to share that because I feel like it's been such a powerful tool for me. So I hope you got a lot of value out of that. I will include a link to check out Nutrisense as well. And I'm going to try and see if I can get a coupon code for you so you can get a percentage or discount off for using my code. So hopefully I can get that before this video goes live. If you got value out of this video, I have 3 things for you can do next if you want to work with me. The first step, and these are all free resources. The first one is to take our what type of business should you start assessment. That assessment will tell you what is the best type of business for your unique personality and your unique skills. Many times business owners start a business, and it's not that it was a bad business, it just wasn't the right fit for them. It's like putting on the wrong size shoe and then being like, why can't I run fast? Well, duh, it's not the right fit for you. Number 2 is our ultimate startup checklist. So it's everything that you need, literally womb to tomb, in order, so you're not overwhelmed with all the to-dos. You know exactly what you should be focused on. Number 3 is our class on how to sell and market yourself online without sounding hokey, gimmicky, salesy, etc. So there's an amazing way that you can use psychological principles and educate people, leading with value, where you don't sound like gimmicky, where you have paid, rented luxury cars behind you and you sound really cringe and people feel uncomfortable doing that. There's a way you can sell that's effective and it feels comfortable and it's within your integrity. And that's what we teach you how to do inside that class. One of the best resources that we have. Highly recommend you check that out. All those links are included below in the description. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, drop me a comment below, and I'll see you in the next one.